Okay. Good morning and welcome. Welcome to Pondering and happy Monday to all of you. It's the 20th of January, 2020. I'm Joel Rissinger, your host. This is the Pondering podcast and radio program where we ponder all things and then we talk about them. And there are no holes barred on this particular program. We talk about politics, sex, money, religion, faith, whatever it is. But we do it from a Christian perspective. At least that's your host posture. We welcome other views. People are welcome to participate and comment. We can disagree even, but without being, we hope, at least that's the plan, not to be disagreeable. And we do this every weekday, Monday through Friday, from 7:30 to about 7:50 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can grab the program on Facebook, of course, live, comment live, and participate. You can listen to it later, watch it later on Facebook, but you can also access it 24/7, 365 via multiple podcast venues, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, etc. And so we are glad if you're joining us that way, and no matter how you have plugged in today, we're glad to have you. It is a joy and a pleasure and a privilege to do this. And so, we do this because we're really encouraging a couple things. One, we want everyone everywhere to think things through, not just grab the sound bites from the media, not just, take the whatever's popular, sort of the lemming approach to thought on any issue, whatever the culture, the prevailing winds, wherever they may be blowing, that's what we go with. No, we think about it. We access information. We ponder and consider whether or not what we're hearing and the summary view and perspective, sort of the politically correct assumption and conclusion, is true or not. And we try to think about that, consider that. We also encourage Christians not to check their faith at the door on Sunday, meaning they check their brain at the door and their faith at the door. We want them not to check their brains and that they think things through and consider things, but not check their faith at the door on Sunday and leave it there, because we believe that what we believe should inform and dictate all that we think, say, or do. And so our views on politics and other things should be driven by what we believe. This idea that we can compartmentalize and separate is really dangerous and has done us as a nation, as people, in fact, as a world, and apart from this country, it's done us a great disservice. So we started this show with those things in mind to try to counter some of that and really hopefully have some fun in the process. And do people love it? They love it. You love me, really love me. Just kidding. That was a poor Jim Carrey imitation. Be careful or God may intervene. Sorry, Lord. Anyway, no, just kidding. But no, we love doing this, and it has been very rewarding and very enjoyable. Gene, good morning to you, my friend. Dr. Fred, good morning to you. Did you get your truck back in action? Fred had his brakes die on him yesterday, on a hill, no less, which is always the best place to have it happen. Good morning, Jerry. You're welcome. But Fred was out working on his truck, as the sun was setting even in the yard yesterday. Thankfully, it warmed up a bit. This morning, though, in New England, it is New England. It is winter, baby. Walked the dog, and we both froze in place. Not quite, but it was cold. So, we love the show. We love to do this with you and hang out. If I can put in a movie plug, Karen and I, our church is doing a 21-day fast, and people do that different ways, and we've chosen to take certain days and just go with liquids, and other days we're eating normally, but we're fasting consistently from sort of our standard diet of Netflix and different TV shows, and just strictly watching Christian programming, whether it's comedy or serious drama. We watched Unplanned last night, which was in theaters. Tremendous film, not something for kids, but definitely for adults to understand the whole Planned Parenthood abortion promotion marketing evil. And I'm sorry, I don't want to offend anyone, but I am going to be truthful with you on this show. It is pure evil. Planned Parenthood is one of the most evil organizations on the planet. And it just really reveals that from the perspective of someone who was a big proponent, a director of a clinic, to now someone who's an activist, Christian activist, against abortion and Planned Parenthood in particular. So, yeah, check it out. But I was watching the film, and it really does a great job. And I've had some dealings myself with people trying to protect people who had left Planned Parenthood or revealed some of their evil schemes and then had their life threatened. I actually I worked security once, basically providing protection for a young lady who was a public speaker, who had come out against them and then had her life threatened. So I have some experience with this group of folks. But I said to Karen as we watched the movie, we're both in tears, and I said, how anyone could vote Democratic and therefore support abortion on demand at all terms and all times, and the funding of billions, I suppose, of dollars for thousands and thousands of abortions through Planned Parenthood is beyond me. This is an example of why we do pondering, because if we ponder the truth and we consider how God views life and how he loves each one of us and how he knew us in the womb, and he talks about how he knew us before we were formed in the womb, how we could then justify supporting through our votes people who support and fund Planned Parenthood is beyond me. I mean, you don't have to like Republicans. You don't have to. You can vote for independents. You can vote for Mickey Mouse, for heaven's sakes. But how you vote Democratic with people, Democrats with people supporting Planned Parenthood and abortion on demand as a Christian, I can't possibly comprehend that. I think it's just outrageous, and it's one of the reasons we do the show, so people will think about that stuff and hopefully make decisions everywhere, not just the voting booth, based on their faith. So there you go. Good morning, Susie. Jose, I think, is watching. Good morning. Good morning, Jerry. Did you watch that Steve McQueen DVD? Yeah, no, I haven't yet. I'm sitting right here, actually. Here, you know what I'm going to do? Here it is. There it is. I've got it right here. I'm going to put it right here so we can watch it. Part of our problem is we don't watch DVDs anymore. I don't even know if our DVD player still works. I'm going to try. But because everything's on, digital, online now. And so we haven't watched a DVD in I don't know how long. But I'm going to see if I can make this work. I think we may have a player that's connected there. My son, he could figure it out. He's a guru. So anyway, I hope you guys had a great weekend. God bless you. Thank you for joining us once again. Hey, I want to take just a moment and tell you about a little lesson I had today in my devotions. We talk about staying in the Word every day here, and we look at that. We can look at the internet and consider all the craziness that's out there, right? Cat videos and, it's people fighting over nonsense and, pictures of women yelling at cats and cats insulting women and whatever else. I don't even understand that. I don't get that. It's this thing with this woman screaming at the cat and the cat insulting her. I don't know how it started. I don't know why it started. It's just bizarre to me. But we could look at that, and we could think, well, that's just a waste of time. It's crazy. But one of the nice things about having so much access to information via Google, etc., is we can learn things that used to take a lot of work. And frankly, it was impossible to learn some of these things apart from going to seminary or going to classes somewhere. So I'm doing this is an example. So I'm doing my devotions this morning, and I read through the Bible every year, and I'm reading Genesis 21 this morning, at least part of it. And the end of the chapter, Abraham, let me read it to you. And I'll tell you what struck me that never struck me before. And this is so cool. One of the cool things about the Word of God is you could read it your whole life, which I have. You could study it, which I have. And still, every time you pick it up, find something new that you didn't notice. It wasn't there. It's almost like you think, wait a minute, did you edit this? I don't remember that being there. So let me read to the end of chapter 21 of Genesis. So it's talking about Abraham and Abimelech, and Abraham is making a covenant with Abimelech. They've had some conflict over whose lambs and whose land and whose well is whose well, and which animals are going to be able to graze where, and so they're making an agreement so that there's peace between their people. And they make this agreement, and it says in verse 31, therefore Abraham called that place Beersheba, because the two of them swore an oath there. And many Bibles, have footnotes and stuff like that. This marginal note says that Beersheba means well of the oath, or well of the seven, because he gave him 7 lambs, kind of as a symbol or act of good faith for this agreement. I'm going to continue verse 32. Thus they made a covenant at Beersheba. So Abimelech rose with Phicol, the commander of his army, and they returned to the land of the Philistines. Then Abraham planted a tamarisk tree in Beersheba, and there called on the name of the Lord, the everlasting God. Abraham stayed in the land of the Philistines many days. Now, I've read that 100 times, probably. And I just thought, he planted a tree. How nice. Abraham is green. He would have fit in well with the environmental movement. But then I looked up tamarisk trees. And this is cool. This is I want to get what I was saying about, the access to technology we have. I Googled tamarisk tree. And I found this really cool video that described, and some pictures too, described tamarisk trees, and even mentioned this text, which when I saw the video initially, I just thought it was a horticulture expert, agricultural guru talking about trees. But she actually referenced this verse and why it was significant. And I thought, how cool is this that we have, we can get that information at the click of a button, And the long and the short of it was that the tamarisk tree was a very unique desert. It is, I should say, still a very unique desert tree. It has deep, deep roots. It also fans out roots horizontally so that it catches and can pull and draw more water than most trees, even in the midst of an arid desert climate. It also is a great source of shade because it branches out kind of like a bushy sort of structure or shape. So there's a lot of shade, a lot of place to lie down, rest, etc. And the leaves on the tree, first of all, Susie, you'd be interested to know that some of the species of tamarisk have purple flowers. When they bloom, they're purple, which I thought you would like. Susie, for those of you who don't know her, has purple hair, so I'm sure, would appreciate the purple flowers on the tamarisk tree. But not only that, so Abraham had good taste, Susie, see that? But not only that, but the leaves, the green kind of, they're almost like a bushy leaf that comes out all over the tree, are very moist. You can actually almost wring out the water because they collect water, not only when there's rain, but from what they're drawing from the soil. So apparently, historically and culturally, it was common to use a tamarisk tree as a gathering place, a place to meet. Obviously, the implication in the text there is that he met with God, but also with others. It was a place of fellowship, known as such. You see a tamarisk tree, that's a place to go. There's shade, there's water, and believe it or not, there's even food. This is kind of gross, but I guess it's not when you think of honeys and honeybees. But there's an aphid that secretes this honey-like substance. It tastes like honey. They say it's very sweet, almost like a candy kind of a thing. And they gather around this tree. They cling to the tree because of the moisture. So you can eat this. It's like eating honey, apparently. I don't know, inviting your friends over. Hey, you want to come on down and have some aphid secretions tonight? Yeah, man, let's go. That doesn't appeal to me necessarily, but apparently it did then. Aphid secretions were kind of like pizza, I guess, or But anyway, You could, and it was good, and some people even, of course, atheistic or agnostic historians and scientists who want to make fun of the Exodus story will say that manna wasn't really bread from heaven. It was aphid secretions from the tamarisk tree, which I don't believe that's true, by the way, because it's very clear in the Hebrew that it was a wafer, not a blob of syrup, basically. But nonetheless, it's interesting that Abraham planted this tree because what he's saying is he wants to fellowship with God. He wants to fellowship with others. He knows God is the everlasting source of everything we need. Shelter, under the branches of the tree, water, food, and he's picturing that as he takes one of his first official acts in this new place and plants the tree. Has a covenant of agreement and peace with his neighbors, and now he's got this tree of fellowship that basically says to everyone, come on down, and let's enjoy what God has given us. I just think that's cool. And, it's one word, well, two words, tamarisk tree, that I've read over a million times, never paid any attention to it. But just a click or two, Googling, I found some interesting information that really sheds light on the verse. It sheds light on what Abraham was doing, who he was as a person, and how God had used him, why God used him, because of his attitude. So I want to encourage you as you do get into the Word, that you get into the Word, that you dig deep. And it's so easy now. Back in the day, I'm not going to sound like an old man now, right? Back in the day, when dinosaurs ruled the earth and I was reading my Bible, it used to take, hours to find something like that. And you'd have to have, your Hebrew dictionary, 2 or 3 translations of the Bible, commentary, so maybe several commentaries. You'd get the Strong's Concordance out. All that stuff you'd read and study and make notes, and you might find some of the same information after literally spending an hour or two in study, and just that one verse. Now you go tamarisk tree, and up it comes. It's use it, I guess, is the thing, right? We can look at the internet and waste time and have some entertainment. Like Susie said, she loves the blonde and the white cat. Yeah, I mean, it is funny. I grant you. But there's so much more there, and so much we can access and learn from. So my little word of encouragement for the day is to take advantage of those things as you dig into the Word. Find out what's there, because it's so deep. Every word in the Bible has meaning, and it's there for a purpose. And God's intent for you and I is not just that we kind of go along through life or have a very surfacey understanding, or, I listen to some Christians, you would think the only thing God wants us to know is that he loves us and he has a plan for us and Jesus died for us, and that's it. Well, those are powerful truths. That's an amazing thing. And don't get me wrong. It's important to know those things, but God has so much more. God wants us to live a life that's rich and blessed, and his word contains all that we need for that. I mean, just looking at the tamarisk tree, what does it say? Well, how does that impact my life? Well, it reminds me to be hospitable. It reminds me to be thankful. It reminds me that God provides far beyond what I typically would think of, or own as my own responsibility. If I got to do this, I've got to, in a way, God could say, well, look at that tree over there. You got shelter, you got food, you got water, you got friendship. People gather around it. You can talk to them, and you didn't have to work for any of that. It's right there. Go sit under it, kind of thing. And so there's some good lessons packed into just that one little reference to a tree that Abraham planted. And we might even, again, as we're reading it off, I'm just going to gloss over it. My advice is don't gloss over it. So, hey, hope you have a good week. I know tomorrow night, for those of you in Central Connecticut, the guys, there's a men's worship and prayer time at Lifeway Church. And Lifeway, of course, is our sponsoring organization. LifewayCH.com if you want to check us out, LifewayCH.com. By the way, great day yesterday, even though we had a little lower attendance in the morning because of the snow in the first service. The second service was pretty full, and we had just a powerful time of worship, powerful time in the Word with Pastor Steve's message. It was just a great day. So check us out, LifewayCH.com. Check out the Lifeway Church Facebook page. 2 services every week, 9:30 and 11:15 a.m., 2172 Berlin Turnpike. And the men's gathering is tomorrow night at 2172 Berlin Turnpike, 7 p.m. 7 p.m. at Lifeway Church. You can find out more, ask questions, whatever, at 860-436-9216, 860-436-9216. And as far as this program is concerned, you can, as some of you have already, type into the live stream here, post comments around the clock on our Facebook page if you wish. You can call us as well. Leave a message at 860-500-7163, 860-500-7163, or you can email ponderingradio@gmail.com, ponderingradio@gmail.com. So, hey, hope you guys, like I said, have a great week. We will be back tomorrow morning at 7:30 a.m. Tell your friends, neighbors, and complete strangers to join us here in Pondering. We really appreciate that. Love to hear from folks and want to continue to build this, and probably will at some point extend it back onto the airwaves and the broadcast media, the radio, beyond Facebook, beyond podcasting. But in addition, we'll add that. We'll continue to do what we're doing here. We'll just add the radio back in. Pray about that if you would. Give us your feedback if you can. And until tomorrow, stay in the Word, keep praying, and do not check the gray matter at the door. No, keep pondering. Bless you guys. Have a great day. Bye for now.